So, Ryan Bowen versus Engin Terzi in early August. As I said on Uncle John's show, I don't think Ryan has much of a chance as it is now. I think if nothing changes from here forward and we just look at Terzi as is versus Ryan as is, Terzi is way ahead. From what we've seen, Ryan hasn't done much in the way of meaningful matches or training recently, and his body weight is down from where it has been. So he's likely weaker, out of prime, and possibly has taken a break from the pancakes. Whereas Terzi is looking as big, strong, and lean as ever. He looks ready to go at any time. Combined with the previous years of tournament competing at the highest level, internationally, and Terzi seems like a pretty sure choice to bet on. But is there anything that Ryan could do to level the playing field? First, let's look at what he's posted. Maxing out on a wrist wrench with some kind of drag. What is this position? I've never found myself or seen anybody doing this in an actual match. And as RVJ pointed out, using a wrist wrench like this, held deep in the palm with the bands pulling into the palm itself rather than out against the fingers, and starting from a fully flexed position and just trying to hold and shift his body backwards, isn't doing much to train himself for the table. He may be trying to emulate Todd Hutchings, but let's look at Todd doing a similar thing. He's starting as he would in an actual match. He has the wrist wrench pulling more against the fingers, and he moves it with the wrist, or in the drag version, pulls it from the center to the corner. And then we've also seen him playing around with a twisty grip on the end of a piece of threaded rod, held in place at the center of the table. This is a very convoluted way and offers nothing in the form of training except perhaps an isometric hold once the rod is pulled against the side of the base. If he wants a stronger start, what's wrong with training the start on the table with actual people and doing wrist curls on top for stronger wrists? I don't think Engin, if he is prepping at all, is doing it with isometric hold maxes and fast wrist spins against nothing. Look at him training previously. It's just basic brute force getting stronger. So Ryan's got just over 3 months if he starts training right away, and I want to outline what I think he should do with that time to prepare, and I'm going to go pretty in depth. The body weight for this is 90 kilograms or under and the best of 5 match style, and Terzi comes from the European style of fighting, which is sharp and fast, something which Ryan does not have much history doing well against. And we can assume that this is not a tested all-natural event, so chances seem pretty high that Terzi is nibbling those pancakes, because why shouldn't he be? So in that regard, it seems obvious that Ryan needs to get back on the pancake, so let's go into that a bit. He seems to be somewhere around 90 kilograms already, I think, but I could be wrong. He doesn't have long to build much new tissue. He has 3 months, of which the first half of that will be aimed at generating new muscle, and then the second half will be refining technique, power and speed, and managing body weight. So I wouldn't put him on any fancy pancakes. If he's not taking growth hormone already, he could start now, but it would be expensive and he won't have long enough to really see much benefit from it. Instead, I would just think of nandrolone for the joint lubrication, tendon assistance, and general wet growth it gives. It's very anabolic, so he'd grow, but it's not very androgenic, and will suppress his natural testosterone levels. So he needs to run a baseline of testosterone alongside it, mostly for the regulation of base levels, but also to up the growth ability a bit. I would suggest keeping both of these at moderate levels though. There is still a weight category in effect, so he doesn't want to get too heavy. And if he does get heavy, he doesn't have long to do it in, so chances are a lot of that new weight will be fat and non-functional. The other thing is that Ryan is not a bodybuilder, and is only really aiming to gain muscle in the hands, forearms, arms, and then the supporting structure around those, so chest and upper back, shoulders and lats. So even if he is gaining a lot, it's going to be mostly in limited areas, and the overall weight gain can be lessened. Gaining 5 kilograms across the entire body is going to be very different than gaining 5 kilograms in the forearms. So for the first month and a half, I would say he should stick with that simple, basic plan. As for training, I would say he should train simply too. He has all of these ideas about training specific vectors and micro movements, but in this first stage at least, I would get him focusing on very big and broad compound movements just to gain new muscle tissue to use. So bench press, maybe close grip bench press, maybe the JM press that Todd Hutching tells him to do. Some form of arm extension with chest involvement will help beef up his side pressure and connective strength. Some form of rowing or neutral grip pull-ups or pull-downs. Voice of Arm Wrestling has tons of examples of this stuff, so just pick one or two and stick with it for a month and a half. Something that stimulates the back pressure lat drag but also works everything around it too. Remember, we aren't specific here, we just want big and broad, heavy movements. And then for the arms, we need to forget about the easy curls and specific angle vectors. We need heavy hammer movements, hammer curls, seated single arm curls, preacher curls, anything that hits the elbow and brachioradialis with actual extension and flexion at the elbow, maybe even held at the top with slow eccentrics. Again, we just want to break the muscle and grow new material. And then we can do wrist curls, but full actual wrist curls. No messing around with vectors, no static holds for time. Just load the wrist with the load towards the fingers if possible and get that wrist from neutral to fully flexed. You want to see that forearm bulge and grow as much as you can. Ryan, channel the inner Dorian Yates. Get big, get nasty. Slam on the headphones and blast Rammstein like the late KK. The first month and a half are not about fancy, pretty content. To quote the great, get bigger. As an aside, I'm pretty sure your audience will enjoy watching that content just as much as nail bending. As for reps and sets, stick around 6 to 12 for the most part, 3, 4 or even 5 sets per exercise. And the main focus is on increasing the reps, or sets or weights. So try to add 10 to 15 kilograms to each compound movement over this entire time. Each of those movements train heavy twice per week. So it could be something like this. Monday, bench press 4 sets of 8. JM press 4 sets of 10. Hammer curls 4 sets of 8. And then 1 or 2 accessories for those, so things like pronation perhaps. Wednesday, neutral grip chin-ups. 4 sets of as many as you can. I don't know how good you are at chin-ups. Possibly 4 sets of 6, ideally with weight. Seated rows 4 sets of 8. Wrist curls 4 sets of 10. Again, add some assistance as you see fit, but do not go overboard. 1 or 2 others and then get out. And then to Friday, close grip bench press 4 sets of 10, tricep pushdown 4 sets of 10, hammer preacher curls 4 sets of 10, potentially some accessories. And then Saturday, which is a heavy day, heavy rows, chest supported, seated or dumbbell, whatever you prefer, 4 sets of 6, chin-ups or lat pull-downs, 4 sets of 10 for more hypertrophy and just blood flow, and then wrist curls, 4 sets of 8. And then just repeat this for the next 8 weeks, aiming to progress from week to week in reps or sets or weight. As you've covered with Todd, maybe switch up the exercises to another one that hits the same kind of muscles in a slightly different way if you start to stall in progress. This is a lot of work on a few muscle groups, but if you're enhanced with pancakes, it should be doable. As for food intake, try to keep calories slightly over your maintenance amount or just eat a lot and try to keep clean. If you see yourself gaining weight too quickly, cut back on the calories. Even on only a slight surplus with a decent amount of anabolics per week, you're going to be growing. Try not to go over 95 kilograms. If you do, you have to cut more weight in the last few weeks and it'll be harder. Do some light cardio, nothing extreme throughout, but just keep the body healthy and the blood and oxygen flowing through it. As for rest, get it. Try to get those 8 hours of sleep per night or as close as you can to it. Don't stay up filming endless videos. The focus now is on Terzi. You can document this training as it happens, so I think people will appreciate this more than the latest tiff between Devon and Levan and how they hold hands. Through this you can train on the table as much as you like, but it cannot be training that impacts your focus on building new tissue. Either train with easy opponents or find hard opponents that are willing to train sensibly with you. The focus on these sessions is practice, not damage. Find positions, load them a little and just get out. Train short and fast like the Europeans do. Do not load and hold, you are not going with Devon. Look at how Engin trains. He's just using the gym with broad movements to build strength and muscle. Then he uses a table just to practice using that muscle and strength. Once these 8 weeks are up, we're going to switch to a more preparation mode. For the next 3 weeks, we'll transition from gym focus to table focus. You can still go to the gym, but I'd cut it down to 3 times per week, keeping the same exercise template but switching to Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And reduce the overall volume but keep the weights high. Still aim to progress but don't put too much emphasis on it. Just make sure you don't get weaker. As for body weight, if you're at 95 kilograms or under, good. Keep the dose the same but lower the calories a little and aim towards 90 kilograms gently. You can keep the light cardio just for general health and well-being. If you are over 95 kilograms, then you messed up, so you'll have to lower the dose to shed some of that wet weight. Cut the calories and increase the cardio, depending on how far wrong you went with that body weight. Table practice, try for at the very minimum 2 good sessions per week against real people, but still don't go too far into the long and slow. Find positions you are weak in and work on those. Find someone who is fast from the ready go, and before anything else, work on improving the reaction to that. Work out how to stop someone or even beat them to the start. At this point you are already strong, just work out how to get that strength onto the table. If you can, train every day to some amount on the table, but do not train in ways that make you unable to train productively the next session. Get your wrist strong, get your catch strong, in case it still flashes you, get your top roll beefed up, just improve all of the basics. You know how Terzi pulls, train against that and around that style of pulling. Stop messing around with slow, heavy weights. During this time, include some plyometric training a few times, jumps, box jumps, medicine ball throws, just things that will get you mobile and generally more explosive. But do these as separate sessions, do not do them after another workout when you are slow and fatigued, otherwise you are just training to be slow. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, cut the gym sessions to 2 heavy sessions per week, 1 of each of those workouts we said, and the reps in those to singles, doubles or triples on the bigger movements. Aim to maintain strength, but do not push too hard into progressing. Just stay strong and don't get hurt. You can add another session if you want, but this needs to be light and easier, just to keep the blood flowing and the pump going. If body weight is on track, just keep it as you are. If it's below 90 kilograms, add a few calories to keep you optimal. If it's way over 90 kilograms, you're still messing up. Cut the calories and up the cardio, but you don't want to be here, so don't be here. For table training, have 1 main table training session per week. When I say main, I mean one which closely emulates the conditions you'll be facing in the actual competition. Quick start and quick aggressive matches. You should do other training sessions too, but those should be lighter and easier, with a focus on being just fast and precise. You've got the strength. From here on, you're just honing your skills and preparing for the setting. And then for the week of the match, you'll have to travel, so keep training light and aggressive. Think about Voivoda preparing for Travis and Brzenk. Do a lot of visualization of how the match will be and how the movements will be performed. Do all of this preparation before the match, and then on the day you just need to do all the movements you prepared. It will be hard, but this is what you need to do if you want to even think about being able to hold on to Terzi. Go back to basics, train hard and precise for the specific match you have in place. If nothing else, scare Terzi with how well you have prepared. A well-trained Ryan is going to do a lot more for your audience than a slow and lazy Ryan being steamrolled. You don't want to end up as a Grant diet video, I'm sure. But that's it. And for anybody other than Ryan, I think if you gain anything from this, it is the value of specific, simple training over extravagant overcomplications and how to aggressively hold hands. I'll see you next time.